Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It
Woohoo!
is Wednesday, December 10th. That means it's time for Under the Radar. I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. Got David Griggs over there, and the expert himself, Rocco Miller from Bracketeer.org.
I'm an
Um,
expert.
and
I'm an
to make the
expert.
show easier, we'll just let Rocco take it away for the next hour, and you and I will sit here and
Yeah,
listen, Griggs. How's that?
I'm an expert.
uh, this is our Under the Radar show. Griggs, can you tell everyone what Under the Radar is in case they're not familiar with that term?
Well, the simplest definition is that is the 22 normally one bid leagues. There's no rule that says that these conferences only get one bid. Depending on how things play up between now and the end, some of them might get more than one, but it's typically the one bid leagues.
Nice and short, and that's pretty much to the point. What we like to do is go through these conferences in alphabetical order, starting with the America East, ending in the WAC. Other than we always like to do is feature conference at the start of the show and try to grab a conference that's done something of note over the course of the past week. And that'll be a great week to start in the Big Sky Conference, following their 12-6 win in the Big Sky Summit League Challenge Series. Well, the score was 12-6 in games, it felt like it was even more than that. I mean, they it was a couple late wins and the final day by the Summit League that made it even somewhat close. But Rocco, let me start with you here because I think the story of this conference so far has been this Northern Colorado team.
Yeah, great effort from the Bears last week. Obviously, two really close, nail-biting victories down to the wire at Omaha, pulled out a 75-70 win, and then eked out a home win over South Dakota. I believe there was
Wow.
a game-winning
Overtime.
shot,
Yeah.
yeah, or a game-tying shot at least to be part of that victory. But at Northern Colorado, of course, a high-scoring team. The concern there is I'm not sure what happened with Quinn Denker. He's been probably their most valuable player, but only logged 4 minutes. So I didn't get a chance to get an update on that. But it's something to keep an eye on going forward. But I do like the makeup of Denker, Brock Wisney, and Zach Block. Again, those are their three big returners, all seniors. And last year's team was deep enough to have seven, like coach would say, seven starters. So effectively, these guys have played starter minutes for years. Now they really are the vocal point and they're just outscoring people. They go to OT they've gone to OT three times and
They have, yeah.
they're 3-0 in OT games now. So I think that's a really good sign because in the Big Sky the margins are extremely thin, I believe.
Very much so. Got a money game coming up against Texas Tech.
Every
I
year they
yeah,
get Texas Tech every year. Yeah.
yeah. Do they really?
Yeah,
That's
there's a great
interesting.
relationship there with Smiley and McCaslin, but even before McCaslin, they've been doing
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I didn't realize that that was a regular game. Then they got they got more of the front range rivals coming up. Denver at home, that's winnable. This one's big. Colorado going there. I am already excited about that game, even though it's not for another 3 weeks.
Well, counts as multiple
Denver's pretty
conferences
good.
too, so you got to
Yeah, it
remember
does. Yeah,
that. Also being a front range game there, yes. Uh,
yeah.
but going back to the rest of the states, honestly, beyond Northern Colorado, uh, Rocco, I think Portland State, they lost the home game to Omaha. They got the nice win at South Dakota. Uh, Idaho tonight gave Notre Dame a
Good
game. They ended up
effort.
losing by 15, but they were in there. They showed a lot of
Yeah.
life, and they had that nice win at South Dakota State. So there's a lot of life here in this conference. I think even beyond Northern Colorado.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've also been impressed with the way Idaho State's been playing as well. Did well in the challenge, and they're down seven as we record this against Utah Valley. But of course, Utah Valley, a very difficult place to play. They were expected to lose by double digits. That game's been pretty close since the tip. But yeah, Idaho goes to Notre Dame, tied at halftime, ends up losing by 15. Good effort at least. Portland State's got a really interesting roster with Terry Miller Jr. returning, but also Jalen Henderson's been a really key player, plays basically every minute, and Trayvon Minot and Keon Kensey also been really good players for the Vikings. It's a fascinating league because
Yeah.
outside of the four or five that we've mentioned, I think even at 4-6, Montana State's really
I- That's
dangerous.
where that's
Yeah.
where I wanted to go. I'm glad you mentioned it. Go ahead and finish
Yeah.
your thought because
Yeah. Well, I had a chance to meet last week with the staff at Utah State. They took Utah State to overtime,
they
which
did.
was to the naked eye pretty stunning. But Utah State staff couldn't speak higher of anybody than they did of Montana State and how close they've been. They lost to Boise by 4. They
Yeah.
lost that Denver game on a buzzer beater. They lost to Stanford by 9, Colorado by 6. So it
What-
feels like and a disappointing 4-point loss to Oral Roberts. So they really got to figure out these tight end of games. Otherwise, they could be one of the best teams and under the radar.
Yeah, one of the results that kind of surprised me, a really weak Denver and Oral Roberts team. It's really easy to look at that and dismiss them. But you mentioned went to Utah State, and really they had a chance to win that game at the end of
Hmm.
regulation, didn't they? They got it shot up, didn't go down, and then couldn't do it in overtime. And in that Colorado game, weren't with 90 seconds to go, wasn't it tied or one possession? I mean, they were right in.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and the one thing, and and I know Chad is quick to point out, well, good teams don't lose close games; they win them. That is a good St. Thomas team, and they beat them.
I'll give them credit for this, especially when you talk about road bye games by under the radar schools. I think you get a little
Yeah,
more credit there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Well,
I'm
I
not
think
going to
the
put
other
you don't get a tournament bid for that. But you get
yeah,
credit for being a dangerous team. I'll put it that way.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think there's a difference too when, Montana State's got a lot of newcomers. Matt Logie's still a younger coach, just in his second year there, or third year, excuse me. And they are just going to be evolving. They're trying to build off each game and learn about themselves. So to learn, unfortunately, they're learning through losing, but you can tell they're building towards something greater, and that's all you really want to see at this level.
yeah,
I think it's different when you're, when you're University of Colorado and you lose 4 or 5 games like that, it's going to be a long year. It's a whole different outlook.
yeah. And I they go to Oregon State. I think they can win that game, the next one.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick look at the rest of the upcoming schedule here for the Big Sky. Maybe that game you just mentioned there, Griggs, that game in Northern Colorado's test at Texas Tech are two of the games really worth circling here. Um,
Eastern's got
my
a chance to get a good win.
Eastern
Yeah,
against Washington Wazoo
against
there, yeah.
Wazoo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And Cal
and the Friday,
Baptist.
yeah,
Yeah.
both of those Eastern games will be interesting.
Uh, but let's jump back to the America East here, where Griggs, we actually saw the first life out of Maine that the Maine team that we're excited about all season. We saw them just tonight picking up a road win at BU, a big upset tonight.
yeah.
But
I
uh,
still like this main team as a fan, but oh my God, they've played 12 games and they've lost 11 of them.
yeah, entering the day with dead last in the WAB metric, that's
Yeah,
not a good sign early on. But go ahead.
right. Let's see. UMBC, they lost their game tonight, I think, or am I can I
They
am
did.
so
The
unprepared. They didn't
UMBC
play.
gave Buffalo a game last night, but
Yeah, okay.
Buffalo actually made a great comeback to steal that game from them
Yeah,
last
Yeah,
night.
stole it.
and UMBC was not a team I was all that excited about. And again, I hate to bring up losses. Really, really competitive in Georgetown. I watched just about all of that game, and they were right in there. We'll talk more about Buffalo, but they had a lead for a lot of that game. So even though they fell to just 4-4 against D1 teams this past week, I think I like them more than Vermont right now.
Well, I don't know. Rocco, Vermont took that West Coast trip. Yes, they lost at Oregon State, but they picked up the win at Pepperdine, and
Yeah.
that's always tough when you take that type of trip.
It is, yeah. Got to get familiar with the surroundings and the time adjustment. Didn't play well in Corvallis, but really bounced back at Pepperdine. Won that game going away by 9 in an unusual low scoring game for Vermont. That's the first game they've played into the 60s and 50s all season. So also showing that they can win at different paces. And now they'll get a tricky one on Sunday against Merrimack.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the metrics, though records might be similar across the board, but I think the metrics for Vermont really show they're looking heads and shoulders better than most of the rest of this
Yeah,
conference.
UMBC though, hung in with Georgetown and Buffalo. It's
Yeah, yeah. Uh, UMBC this week gets Army
should
coming
win
here on
that one.
Friday night.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we mentioned that Vermont game hosting Merrimack, and they also host Siena on Wednesday.
Sienna's got a
Sienna's
bloated
good.
record. Yeah.
Mhm. Uh, Rock over in the Ace Sun Conference.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Um,
How
I,
about the Lions?
I guess let's talk Lions. Gotta talk somebody, and went out to San Francisco and got the big conference, probably the conference's best win of the season so far.
You would have to think so. I mean, and it was a wild game. I mean, they were down 21-4 out of the gate. You thought it was just a easy win for the Dons at home, but they grinded the rest of the first half, and I think by halftime it was within a 2-point game. And then North Alabama was just the better team in the second half. It did come down to a game-winning shot with about 20 seconds to go from Dante Bacchus, but North Alabama, man, I know you had already aired the show by the time they had beat Jacksonville State last Monday. But that was another grinder on the road, and they flew straight to San Francisco that night. So just the circumstances to win both of those road games in 48 hours was a huge, impressive feat. And then also, I'd like to give a quick shout out to new head coach Kevin Carroll and the Lipscomb Bisons. They've now won 5 in a row. And they're not like walks in the park. They've gone to Marshall and won. They've gone to a good SEMO team and won by double digits. Alabama A&M has been feisty all year. They just blew the doors off of the Bulldogs on Sunday. And suddenly a team that started 0-4 against D1 is now 6-4 overall, but 5 straight D1 wins. And Lipscomb's the highest rated KenPom team in the league all of a sudden. So they're playing fast, they're playing fun. My good friend Kevin Carroll doing a great job here in mid-December on his first real progress report.
Tell you what, if he makes it a 6 game winning streak, we're going to be talking a lot of Lipscomb this season.
Yeah.
Next
At
Tuesday.
Duke, at Duke. Um, but
Maybe Cincinnati at the end of December. How about that one?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually
Got a
winnable.
real chance there.
I kind of think they do.
Uh, Grig's upcoming schedule here in the A-Sun. Uh, we want to look at North Alabama here. They have road game at Alabama A&M. Interestingly, they're going back out to they're going out to the West Coast to play at Loyola Marymount after that. Coming
Yeah.
up next week. Lipscomb
Get that money.
at Duke, as we mentioned.
Yeah, and again should be a winnable road game for Lipscomb, and if they get that one, I mean they're going to start to get some national attention finally.
One other game I'm paying attention to here, coming Friday night. Austin P is a team we kind of liked heading into the season. I think we still do. I think it's a huge under the radar game hosting East Tennessee
It
State.
it
Yeah.
is, and it's a fun
Regional.
that's a really fun matchup too, and it's two really good teams. It's a good regional matchup. I figured we wait till we got to the SoCon, but I really like this East Tennessee State team, and I think this is a really tough road test for them. I think they can win it, but it's going to be a really good game. They being
Uh,
East Tennessee State.
We'll talk about this game again in a few minutes, but let's
Yeah.
jump across the Big South Conference here, Griggs, where
Oh boy.
um, where I mean High Point, they did take care of NJIT, but they
They
did
did.
lose the home game in Southern Illinois. We talked about that one last week. Actually, we talked about that before we started. That game was played
Yeah.
before we played last week's
In,
show.
and to repeat what we said last week or I said last week, it's kind of crazy to look at a team that's 8-2 and say that they're underperforming, but they are. Are they still the best team in the Big South? Probably. I know we also discussed Winthrop last week. That's another team that I really like. I know that their record isn't as good, but their schedule is much, much better, and they've come close. I just think that they've performed pretty well against it. And when you look at these two teams, I certainly think Winthrop can keep pace with them. And like they get them twice. That's not going to be easy for High Point to go into Winthrop.
Yeah, and Rocco,
Physical team, good. I mean,
from
they're just
from
good.
from what I've
Winthrop
seen so
is.
far, I think we have a two-team battle, and that might be it. And maybe a one-team battle. High Point could have run away with this league still.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, High Point operating at a different level. I do think I got a good look at Asheville tonight. Lost a tough one in overtime to the undefeated Miami, Ohio Redhawks.
That was
Great, great
crazy.
comeback.
Yeah.
They were down 18 points in that game and came back to
Yeah,
force
13 to
overtime.
2 run to end regulation. Yeah, to get that to OT. But I think Asheville's really well coached, disciplined, and they're proven over the course of Mike Morrell's time there. So you certainly can't write them out off as a contender. And Winthrop, just with the 9 seniors they play, and even though they're 5-5, I believe, all their games have been really tight. They go to Arkansas, lose the game they could have probably won. 2 losses to Coastal Carolina. That is just a weird matchup thing. I don't know why they had to do a home and home with the Chanticleers, but it was an awful idea. They, but their other losses are. I mean, all those losses are close. Both Coastal losses were within 6. The George Mason loss was 6. The Nebraska loss was 7. So and they got the OT win over LIU. So I mean, they'll be feisty throughout the year. If you're looking for a dark horse, I did give some love earlier this week to USC Upstate. They got 2 wins at home, which for them, any week where they can get 2 wins is a big story. I think the thing that really popped out for me was that the Spartans are a top 35 defense against 2-pointers and a top 45 defense overall. Maybe some of that's some luck, balls not going in for their opponents, but they have gone to Nebraska and Cal Baptist and they've won at Fresno State. So
And that,
maybe
Fres
maybe Upstate's got some life.
and that
Uh,
Fresno State win aging a lot better than what I thought it would when they got it.
and,
Exactly.
and
It
if
was the
Upstate
second.
wins,
Yeah.
I was gonna say if Upstate wins their next game, we'll be talking about them a lot next week too.
Yeah,
I'm purposely pulling these teams up to set them up to fail, Chad.
yeah.
At UNC, wow. Yeah, let's take a look at the rest of the upcoming schedule. Besides that big Upstate North Carolina battle of the Carolinas,
Bob
um,
Jones going to Winthrop.
actually St.
How
Thomas and
bad is
Asheville is one to look at here.
Yeah.
how bad is Gardner Webb? Are we allowed to even go there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
It's just really
centenary.
bad.
Those are centenary level numbers.
They
Strength
are.
of schedule a little tougher than what we normally see out of a centenary team, but what a performance!
Well, they got a real shot at their first win of the season coming up Friday night, hosting Brevard.
Yeah,
Yeah, free beverages for everybody.
and you're going to need them.
Yes, you are.
High Point App State on Sunday, another game there.
Yeah.
I, is that being played in Nashville or I don't know? They're playing a lot of games in Nashville
Hickory.
this season.
I think it's in
Hickory.
Hickory.
Okay,
Yeah,
Hickory game.
really cool. I drove through Hickory on the way to App
I've
State
been
this
there.
summer.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
It is. Yeah, most of Appalachia is. So,
It's awesome.
Rocco, let me stick with you over to the Big West Conference where we've had some conference play get underway here already. In
Yes,
fact,
sir.
that was most of what we saw here. And 4 teams out to 1-0 starts, including, well 2-0 undefeated starts. UC San Diego only 1-0. The other 3 teams are 2-0. Hawaii,
Mhm.
Santa Barbara, and Irvine. Kind of the 4 teams we thought would compete for the conference title this year, honestly.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only real surprise of the week, results wise, because I would have probably predicted all of that at the top. But how about UC Riverside going to Cal Poly and getting a road win? I thought that was super impressive. Gus Arganol took over a really tough situation. I think UC Riverside was one of the last jobs to fill late in the spring. He had a great track record at Division II, got to the Final Four 2 years ago, which is a big story, for he came from down the road at Cal State San Bernardino and did a really good job on limited time to bring in Andrew Henderson and Marquis Worthy. They combined for 52 points in the Cal Poly win. And speaking of Cal Poly, like one of the crazier games you'll ever see was their opener against Cal State Fullerton.
yeah.
They did get that done 94-91, but with about a minute and a half to go, they're up by 16. And Cal State Fullerton just would not stop making threes.
It's
And
still up on Plus. You need to go back and watch it.
it was crazy. I had a
Yeah.
couple of tweets about that game. So Cal Poly clearly had the most entertaining week, and I guess it's fair that they're 1-1.
All right. Griggs, any other thoughts on the conference?
I mean, nothing really other than to add to what he
Mm.
just said. The 4 teams, it's just we're through the first slate of the conference, 2 game weeklies that they do, and I guess we're taking a break now for Christmas. But I think you just said it all. The 4 teams that we kind of liked are the ones that have merged. So
Yeah, Hawaii's gonna actually got a game coming up later on tonight against Hawaii Hilo.
yeah, they should get that one.
Then host, yeah, then hosting UTEP. But
The
you know,
Santa, yeah, some
the
really
big
good
games here
games
are,
coming up. Yeah.
San Diego. They've got this game against Tulane, and then they got a game at
Yeah.
Loyola Marymount
I
this
think those
week.
are both winnable. I kind of like this Santa Barbara Utah Valley game. That one
That's gonna
is
be
one that's
tough.
sticking out to me. That one's going to be a fun one.
Utah Valley has record this at a tough, tight game with Idaho State late.
Yeah.
That game's being played in Salt Lake City as well at the Delta Center, so that'll be a big opportunity for Utah Valley
Yeah.
to
Part of
play
a
in
part of
the
a
NBA.
doubleheader with the Utah State game as the back end of that doubleheader. And
Right.
I think they're going to YouTube streams or something for this too. But there will be availability to watch it. You just gotta look around for it.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
We always
You
find
played in an NBA building and you can't get on a major
yeah.
site there. It's
Oh,
Yeah,
YouTube's me.
it's a tough
Yeah.
world. I like the YouTube games though. I got to be a part of that, and man, I don't know why everybody's not just doing that. It's so easy for everybody to watch, and there's
Yeah.
way more viewers, way more
Yeah.
viewers.
Oh, the production quality of some of those YouTube channels is phenomenal.
It's not bad. I mean, get through it.
No, it's good.
Okay,
I mean,
good. I was thinking of our own situation in St. Pete. We had a
yeah,
okay.
a couple little problems,
some
but
are
it
better
worked
than
out.
others, but some of them are fantastically good. Like,
Griggs, over in the coastal, I think we got a couple stories brewing, but why don't we
oh, we
start at the
do.
top here? UNC Wilmington almost quietly putting together a 9-1 record so far. A
Yeah.
win over Marshall and a road win over Louisiana this past week.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons it is quiet is because I will draw your attention, we have some wonderful data on this page, 9-1 overall,
Mhm.
top 100 net. The strength of schedule, they have played, to their credit, a top 365 strength of schedule, and that's why it's been so quiet. Now.
They're undefeated against the top two tiers. That's got to count for something.
Yeah, they are undefeated against the top two tiers. Marshall, a pretty good team. They did get that one, albeit
Yeah.
it was at home. I like them. I'm not going to dismiss them. How in the hell can you ignore a team that's bloated their record out like that, no matter how weak the schedule is? They're not the team I like the most, and you know which team I like the most.
You're going to the tribe.
Yes, and they've been fun to watch. I know that they did not. The game against GW, I thought that they would have had a chance to win that one. They didn't. It was about what you kind of expected, but I still really like them.
Yeah.
Their schedule's certainly been better. Winning at Bowling Green, at Duquesne, at Norfolk. I know Norfolk's really weak, but I think that they're going to get a lot of home wins. This is just a better profile, and I think their team is better too. Wilmington, I'm not writing you off, but if you're asking me who I like more right now, it's Bill and Mary.
Rocco.
Fun team to watch.
Yeah. Well, the other good news too for William and Mary, despite the loss to George Washington in that game, they get both guards back, Kyle Polium and Reese Miller.
Mhm.
Both came off the bench, but logged close to 20 minutes. Miller had 22 minutes, so they didn't play great, but obviously they're just getting back. They had a couple of weeks off with injuries. Assuming they're just going to continue to get back to full strength.
Yeah.
This is a team that's like 10 deep.
Yeah, they go 10 deep. They have a 10-man rotation. It's not the standard
And
7 or 8.
but-
Like,
and-
yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
not forget though about the other story in this conference, and that's
Stony
Hofstra.
Brook. Oh,
I was
okay.
going to say
bold.
Hofstra goes to Pittsburgh and wins.
Yes. Yeah. Hofstra's playing
The
really well,
pride.
and
Yeah.
honestly, that game with Columbia was a coin flip finish. They got on the wrong end of it, lost by 2. If not, they would be on a 6-game win streak. They're getting better every game out, and that kind of all peaked at the Pittsburgh game, I thought. And their neighbors, Stony Brook, had a great win over Columbia last night in overtime. And Stony Brook's been an emerging story coming
They-
out of the Daytona Beach tournament. They get the consolation win over Bethune-Cookman and have to go straight to LA, and they beat Loyola Marymount out in LA. And then we're competitive with Duquesne and got the Columbia win. Eric Pratt is on the Seawolves this year. He was one of Milwaukee's best players the last 2 years. So that was a big time scoop for Gino Ford in the portal. And then I also think, so keep your eye on those two for sure. And I also think another sleeper, and I don't know what to make of these guys yet, but Elon, when they win, they destroy people. They beat App State by 35. They just beat Wofford by 21. But then again, they fell short at home to both Mercer and Furman. So still trying to figure out Elon, but they clearly have a different gear when they get the lead and start rolling.
Yeah.
Don't forget how beat up this College of Charleston team has been all
Right.
season.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
despite that, they showed a ton of life tonight. They lost the game by 6 at South Florida, but they showed more life than I've seen out of them all season. And if they're going to start getting healthy and start showing that life,
Yep.
we could have a hell of a conference race here.
I think we're going to
It's a good
have
league.
a hell of a
It's a
There's
good league.
another team that we haven't mentioned yet, and that's Towson, and they can play at a high level. So,
Yeah.
get your Flow Hoops subscription ready, because this is just going to be a wild competitive league with a lot of teams that could not only win it, but that can compete in that top 100 range and really ruin someone's day in March.
Well, and
And
Griggs,
also-
if Towson wins their next game, we'll be talking about them a lot next week.
Yeah.
That seems to be my line of the week here.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Rocco.
was gonna add too that there's real talent at both Campbell and Monmouth as well. So I mean, 1 through almost I guess 10 or 11, it's gonna be extremely competitive. No nights off, or you're gonna get
No,
clipped in this
yeah.
league.
There's actually a lot of interesting under the radar games here, such as Central Michigan, Stony Brook. Not
Hofstra
quite,
going to
not full.
Syracuse.
Hofstra, Syracuse, because one to keep an eye on here. Charlotte at Charleston's one to keep an eye on here. And I'm talking about rivalry games. Hampton and Howard, the battle for the real HU.
Yeah,
They play this game on a neutral court there in DC every year. Winner gets to claim they're the real HU for a year.
yeah, and it's a
Great.
fun one. It is a very under the radar rivalry. I wasn't familiar with it. I watched it last year, and it's a fun game.
And how about Citadel College of Charleston? Is there a little heat there, a little intercity battle there, Griggs? No?
No, they're neighbors, but they get along.
They
They're
never ran the
very,
NCAA
very different.
tournament.
Yeah,
7 miles apart. And
right. I think they're more than 7 miles apart. Where is the Citadel? I'm trying to remember
Charleston.
the
Citadel's
city. I
in
know it's in
Charleston,
Charleston.
proper,
Well, I know
Yes.
it's
proper.
in Charleston. I was meaning what part of the city. I think it's more than 7 miles away from college. in
I
Charleston.
don't know.
Yeah.
We will be looking that up though, don't you worry.
Yes, we will. Yeah.
Uh, who up to Rocco? You want to take a little takeaway here with Conference USA?
Conference USA, well, big story tonight. Delaware coming out
Oh
of
my
nowhere,
God.
the newest member of Conference USA, them in Missouri State, and doing something big for the league, knocking off the George Washington Revolutionaries, who spent millions on their roster. Delaware went in there ready, the better team. They led wire to wire, Chad, 70-58. Justin Fernandez was tremendous, and they obviously played good Martin Inglesby defense that they're known for. And yeah, really good to see. They're coming off their rivalry loss to Delaware State. Talk about both extremes of Division One, tasting defeat and victory. So it starts there, but I also think Sam Houston's been a team that has really surprised. I think they were picked 11th in the preseason, and they're clearly much better than that. Played Oklahoma State pretty tough on a week ago. I guess it's been over a week now. But bounced back with the win at Texas Southern. I've liked that team. They're now won 5 of their last 6. I think another one to keep an eye on, a really off the radar team, is the one that plays on the Ocean Court, and that would be FIU. And they're now 5-3. They have this week off, of course, for finals, but they've won 3 in a row. So those are like those super interesting stories to me. On the downside, Western Kentucky goes to Marshall and gets killed tonight.
Yeah.
Liberty goes
Oof.
to NC State
Oh,
and is not competitive.
Liberty's been one, but
I
that
don't
was
think Liberty
bad.
went to NC State. They did not show up.
Did not
And
show up.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'm just gonna have fun with FIU, Sam Houston, and Delaware
Yeah.
here as the good stories.
Yeah. Wow. That was brutal.
Yeah, as far as the upcoming schedule here in CUSA, little
That's
Louisiana Tech game here.
Yeah, like the old Cajun rivalry. How about that? I like that New Mexico State Tulsa game.
That'll be
Uh,
good
Yeah, New Mexico State
in
again.
Dallas.
Yeah, they have the win over New Mexico. They're 6-2. I know Rocco already kind of talked about them. Oh, that game's in Dallas?
It is.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. New Mexico State was, I think, the last team in the country to finish their schedule. So they put games together at the last minute, as halfway as they could with these two, with playing South Alabama last week in Katy, Texas.
Yeah, that
And
was
now,
that,
and
yeah,
the-
that was a great YouTube production.
it was,
Yeah.
and now they're going to play this Tulsa game actually in Frisco, Texas, about 30
Okay.
minutes north of Dallas. So
Yeah.
I had actually looked into a doubleheader. I'm not going to make it, but they have the Texas Tech Arkansas morning game, and then you could drive. If you're in Dallas, you should do this. Drive up to the New Mexico State Tulsa
Oh,
afternoon game. It's set up beautifully for
I am going to Dallas just so I can do that.
you. There you go.
Uh,
Yeah.
2 good games.
just to jump back here, Citadel to College of Charleston, 6 miles apart, Griggs. 6 miles
Whoa!
apart.
I didn't realize they were that
About,
close.
about a 15-minute drive. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But, we got all the information on this show. We had to
Yes, we
confirm
do.
that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then we've got North Charleston Southern, but we've already talked about that. Probably, so.
Griggs, why don't you talk about the Horizon League instead then? Yep,
Oh,
they got a few conference games underway here. Youngstown
yeah.
State 2-0. Oakland, I think, was the bigger story this week. Not only 1-0, but with the win over Toledo as well, non-conference.
Yeah, and I think Oakland is the bigger story. The more and more I look at this, the more and more I think Oakland is the best team in the conference. Their record doesn't show it yet, but it's starting to catch up to them. They played all those not just road bye games, but really tough ones. The Penguins have been a fun story. They got some notable road wins, and they did get their first two conference wins. We have a very, very soft spot for the Penguins. But if you're asking me which team I like the best, it's Oakland. If there is another story, and I know that they're bad, but they're not as bad as they were a year ago, and they are actually showing signs of getting better. I'm not entirely dismissing Green Bay as a doormat anymore. I don't think they finish anywhere near the top, but they're going to beat some teams.
Well, they got beaten up by Wright State. They did have a shot against Robert Morris, but it was a home game.
Oh, they
They
blew
did
that
find a way
game.
to lose it.
Yeah, they kind of blew it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Gottlieb threw the chair
Yeah,
afterwards.
Gottlieb threw the but it was
Look,
just
look that
like
video up. It was actually kind of funny.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Doug Gottlieb, who I never really respected as a coach, actually had the feelings that a coach should have when his team loses a game that they felt that they should win. Now, maybe you need to control yourself a little better than that, but as funny as this is, when he threw the chair, I'm like, maybe this isn't a podcaster masquerading as a coach. He might actually be sort of developing coaching-like tendencies.
I kind of agree with you. Actually,
Yeah.
it showed me a lot more attention to wanting to win than
Yeah,
it kind of felt like
Yeah.
had before now. So
yeah,
Next time he's got to throw it across the court, though.
right,
No more
yeah,
behind the bleachers.
yeah.
yeah.
Chair throws.
Don't misunderstand me. Like you need to control yourself. But he was frustrated. He was legitimately angry.
He was.
Uh, Rocco, we got a real interesting game coming up Saturday here. Oakland's going to Northern Iowa.
Yeah, that'd be a good
That's a
one.
great one.
It's a good series too. I think they're doing a home and home. Oakland's been feisty with everybody, and they've won four straight, as you guys may have said. Toledo win was really nip and tuck the other night, last Saturday, and of course getting off to the 1-0 league start. So now step back out of league for one at Northern Iowa before going to Northern Kentucky. So Greg Campy basically just treat this as a tune-up for another league game, but. Northern Iowa themselves, they just fell at home to Wichita, showed you can go in there and win. So Oakland will look at that tape and try to find some edges.
Right. Let me stick with you, Rocco. Jump over to the Ivy League here, uh, where Yale, maybe not the toughest opponents, but they did what they had to do this week.
Yeah, Chad, I was spending some time today because I had to go all the way back to 1945-46 season to find the last time Yale was 11-1.
Wow.
So Coach Jones,
Wow.
yeah, pretty crazy. That took me about 20 minutes to find. Had to get their media guide pulled up. But yeah, I think Coach Jones has of course done an amazing job for the last 2 decades. Several great teams. And sometimes some of that's just some good schedule breaks, but Yale's got some really good wins already this year. Spoiler alert, I've got them as my number one team in the under the radar right now. And I just think with the way Nick Townsend is able to do everything and such a great and improving supporting cast, whether you look at Isaac Celiscar or Riley Fox or Samson Alishan is a really good big man, and he's still developing and young. This system is just super hard to stop. They're second in the country in three-point shooting, eighth in the country in free throw shooting, and top 20 in the country in shot selection. And so that tends to overlap in kind of any defense they'll see. Now, with all that being said, they have a huge 19-day break after today.
Yeah.
And the next time we'll see them will be at Coleman Coliseum in the SEC. So 11-2 is probably staring them in the face. But what a great non-conference it's been, no matter what happens in Alabama.
So you pull them up. Yeah, they're probably swinging way over their heads in Alabama, but you look at them, you look at 11-1, you look at the net, you look at some of that, and I know we're early, but those are bubblish type of numbers. Uh, without beating Alabama, does this team have a path, Ralco? You're one of the bracket You're one of the selection committee guessing experts.
Well,
I
to just clarify your question here, they lose to Alabama. Assume they win everything else. They got one more non-conference game against Howard, and win the Ivy League semifinal, lose the Ivy League championship game. That's what you're kind of talking about.
Yep.
I don't know. Do they their margin for error might be not much wider than that, but maybe they got one or two more strikes, maybe one more.
Yeah, I
If
think
they
the
if they don't beat
biggest
Alabama.
yeah, the only thing that can really help them is Akron and Rhode Island having good years. Rhode Island's all over the place right now. Akron could have a really good year in terms of their net, and that's their best win. So I just think with the way the committee has been making decisions these last couple of years, I'm not going to predict that. And sadly, they only have 28 scheduled games, so that old like 29 wins magic number, they have no chance to get to that. So. I'm going to say no, but I would love to, stress test the system, if you will.
They have a shot here. I mean, some other things that could help though. Quinnipiac, Vermont, Navy are all teams that have chances to go well, do well in their conference.
Charleston
Char
can get better too.
Charleston,
Yeah.
Stony Brook, those could both get better. Griggs
Yeah.
thinks Green Bay will get better. Um,
I don't know. I don't think they'll get that
Howard could
better.
win their conference. They could have road wins at the end of the day over 4 or 5 NCAA tournament teams. I mean, automatic bid winners, but
Yeah.
4 or 5 NCAA tournament teams.
And
I love it.
well, last year we saw this with I forget which Ivy League school it was, but only playing the 28 games. Would they? I so wanted somebody to schedule Dayton after Dayton's game against UNLV got canceled, but it didn't come together. Was it Princeton?
I think it was Prince who were talking about for that
Yeah,
last year. Yeah, but um, one of the other story from this past week, of course, was Columbia. After that great start, they pull out the win over Hofstra, take care of Albany, but fall in overtime to Stony Brook. But still looking like the second best team so far from what we've seen this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, just like they did a
absolutely.
year ago.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get to conference play, just like a
Yeah,
year ago. But huge week this week coming up in the Ivy League. If you want to watch the entire Ivy League schedule, all you got to do is watch Dartmouth. BU at
yeah,
Dartmouth, Dartmouth at Holy Cross. That's it.
yeah.
Maybe they got finals going on. Maybe they actually care about finals in the Ivy League
I
schools.
think they get. Don't they
I
have the
think they
week
care.
off like for holiday or something? Like, do
Other
they
than
do what the
Dartmouth,
D2 like does with the whole week? Oh, I guess Dartmouth isn't, but yeah,
yeah.
they
uh,
get the 7 days like they get in D2.
Briggs, Metro
Neat
Atlantic.
though, neat.
We've got 5 teams that got up to 2-0 starts this week. And maybe Merrimack is worth noting just because they also picked up a win at Princeton tonight, and
Yeah,
maybe make a little extra noise there.
yeah, a real nice win there for Merrimack. It's kind of hard to ignore Siena 9-2 against D1, so not the strongest schedule. Like if you pull it up here real quick,
And
um,
they start off with their conference play with home games over Niagara and Canisius, the bottom of
Canisius.
the conference. So
So while again they're getting over the hurdles that are in front of them, have they been getting? Are they the team that's gotten over the highest hurdles? No, the team I like is Quinnipiac. I still really like
and
them.
they got that huge win at Iona Friday night
Yeah, they
and
did,
by
and
by a lot
God,
of
what a win!
points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they looked really, really good in that game. This is an Iona team that I was pretty big on, and still big on. I know that there might be some hesitation to get behind Quinnipiac because it's not the first time we've done it, and it's not the first time they collapsed or just didn't deliver. But this year, Chad, this is the year I think Quinnipiac wins this league.
Rocco, they
Finally.
got there are teams like Siena and Marist and stuff that
Oh
might give them
yeah.
a little trouble as we go forward, though.
I agree. Yeah, I think Quinnipiac's definitely made the most noise so far, but
They're
Sienna's right
gonna do it.
there.
This is the year.
Marist is so different because they play super slow and they have an amazing defense, one and done, rebounding, and really get you out of what you want to do. So that's going to be frustrating for a lot of teams when they play Marist. We just haven't seen Marist play a big game yet. I know they do have a bye game.
As is typical for the way
Yeah,
John Dunn likes to schedule, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, they are taking a bye game at Georgia Tech though, and I think
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's been flirting with disaster left and right. A good chance Marist can go get that next Tuesday.
Didn't Marist last year not have a game in the top 2 tiers all
They
season?
did not.
They did not. Yeah.
And
That's what happens when you have like $80,000 a year tuition.
yeah, they had something ridiculous like 26 games in quad four. It was amazing. It was a work of art.
Yeah, it's not easy to pull that off with the
Yeah,
schedule.
No, you need money. You need a lot of money to do that, actually.
yeah,
Uh, Upcoming schedule for this week here. Iona at St. John's. A little Rick Pitino battle going on here.
yeah. I,
Yes.
Iona coming off the loss to Quinnipiac, but that's not gonna be an easy one.
Quinnipiac is going to be playing at Monmouth, hosting Lowell, and then playing at Monmouth. A little old school Metro Atlantic rivalry,
Yeah,
no longer currently Metro Atlantic. Uh, let's jump over to the Mid American Conference. Rocco, we saw Buffalo almost lose a game,
Survive.
five come back, and then we see Miami, Ohio tonight almost blow a game and win. So it's top of the conference. It's been finding ways to win this week.
Yeah, finding ways to win. Buffalo, no, no matter how they need to do it, that's fine. They did have their big opportunity against St. Bonaventure, fell a little bit short, but I thought they were at least competitive enough to
yes,
stay for the fans to stay engaged and to be fired up for the MAC season. And that's their only setback so far. And then of course Miami, Ohio, they haven't played a real juggernaut, and I don't think they will and until you see some of these MAC matchups. But they got it done tonight, even in an ugly fashion, which, the game I had them in Jacksonville against Greensboro a few weeks ago was the same kind of game. They were down big and they found a way to win. So it's a
well,
it's a it's a connected team. They do really well in the important moments. That's a great sign. I guess the one that didn't go well for the league was Bowling Green had a home showdown with Utah Valley, and they were just a little bit outclassed by the Wolverines.
yeah.
Well,
As far as I was just going to say, right, as far as Miami went tonight, UNC Asheville unbeaten at home and a pretty good team. I thought that this was their hardest game of the year, and it wasn't that they were down big and found a way to win. They were up big, found a way to lose, but managed to not lose.
That's right.
that's a good way to describe it. But Griggs,
That's
I'm
Yeah,
right.
just to ask you about, they're sitting there fourth place on the screen, but this Akron team,
very good.
they had a nice road win at Tulane this week too.
Yeah, and I mean, if you pull up Akron real quick, I think that I still like this Miami team. They're still my pick. But if you ask me who has the most merit and who's performed the best, I think it's Akron. They had the big win over Iona. You look at their losses, really going to Purdue and losing. There's no shame in that. They were right in there with Yale, almost beat Yale. We just got done assessing whether or not Yale can land inside the bubble. This Akron team, I think could win the conference. I think they've looked the best, and I think they've done the most.
Look at this,
Um,
sixth in the nation in points per game, fourth in the nation in both field
yeah,
goal and 3-point percentage. That is, that is power conference type of numbers. Though that
it
is
is.
not Mid American Conference type of numbers.
Right. In a big game coming up against Murray State, big by under the radar standards anyway. But I am to answer your question, I'm all in on Akron. Probably, I don't like to sway from my preseason picks, so I don't want to dump Miami, especially since they're 9-0. But Akron's done more and looked better. Don't want to ignore Kent State. I will say this. I have been beating up Buffalo. The game that made me believe in Buffalo was the one that they actually didn't win. And I thought they played really well against St. Bonaventure, as Rocco said, and they came back and they won a nice game after that. So
Yeah.
I'm starting to think Buffalo, while I'm not believing them is to finish atop the league, they're not going to finish at the bottom.
Let me give a quick shout here for a good week from the newest member, UMass. They dominated their state this week, beating
Yeah.
Harvard, Lowell, and finding a way to get by BC tonight, but they did win the game.
Yep.
They did.
Uh,
Got it
Upcoming
done.
this week, Miami, Ohio. They are at Eastern Kentucky and at Wright State, so a couple road trips to try to keep their undefeated season going. I think we're down to 8 teams left in the nation that are undefeated. They're one of that group.
Yep.
Last
Only
of the
on,
under the radar as well, I
yeah,
believe.
Hmm.
they are. Buffalo at East Carolina, Ohio St. Bonaventure, maybe a game more circling there as well.
Yeah, Ohio been a little bit disappointing this year, but um, yeah, still worth circling, I guess.
Toledo at Michigan State,
Hmm.
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, probably not.
UMass, Florida State, Akron Murray State. We already mentioned
That
that
Akron
one.
Murray State game's a great game.
Yeah,
Uh,
going to be playing in Henderson, Nevada.
Yeah. Of course, when Akron and Murray State meet, they got to meet on neutral ground where the temperature is hottest, so they're going to Nevada.
We're going to go to the MEAC now, and what a story we've had
Oh my
developing this
goodness.
season in the
Oh my
MEAC.
goodness.
I don't know
Woo!
that any team that I can remember in recent history has gone to Cameron Indoor Stadium and won twice in the same season, other than the University of Duke
Yeah,
themselves.
I mean, you just don't go onto Duke's floor and win two games
Howard
the
this
way
week
they've done
beat
that.
North Carolina A&T.
Remarkable.
Early this season, they beat Niagara. They are 2-0 at Cameron Indoor Stadium this.
Woo!
Well, not sorry, 2-1. They did lose to Duke there, but
Okay. Uh, is that on the team sheet? Record at Cameron
the
Indoor
record at
Stadium.
Cameron. What ACC team is going to pick up 2 wins at Cameron this season? Rocco, is there any ACC team that's going to do it? Is there
No,
anybody in
No,
any power
no,
conference that's going to do it?
no.
no. It's only the Bison.
Yeah. I mean, just an unbelievable season.
If you rank teams by wins at Cameron at the end of the season, it'll be Duke 1, Howard 2. The
Yeah.
rest of everybody else 3 or lower.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we have to talk about this conference.
No, but
we should
Delaware
move on.
State. Delaware State.
Big
Oh,
win.
yes.
rival-
Yes.
The big rivalry overtime win. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I actually
They
had that on.
beat, and then Delaware goes and beats or
It's-
it beats
it's a
GW.
Yep.
Yes. So Delaware State's better than GW. That's what we learned this week, Chad.
Yes.
Absolutely. Congrats, Delaware State. That was their first D1 win of the season, too. We still got 3 teams in this conference trying to find their first D1 wins. Maybe we'll see what I've got coming up this week. Howard has the battle for the Real HU. We mentioned that one earlier.
Yeah. How about the season Howard's having, though? I mean, I know I kind of liked Norfolk State, but I like Howard now.
Norfolk State, they were in their game last night, were they not?
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
played Baylor this morning.
Oh, they
and
played.
they got killed this morning.
Yeah.
But the game against James Madison was down to the last possession.
Yeah, it was.
They had a lead for a lot of the second half, in fact.
There it is. That was that 1 point loss over the weekend. I knew they were in. Today they got blown out of the water. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Rocco, we just flash off the screen. Let's get back there to the Missouri Valley Conference, where we got some
A lot of stories.
teams with life here.
Well, we should. It's the Valley.
Yeah.
There should always be lots of life in the Valley. Illinois State, I think, has been like we called them out in the last couple of shows, finally getting to themselves, playing really well each time out. Obviously, Chicago State and Eastern Kentucky, not the biggest challenges, but just the way that they're executing right now looks really good. And now they've got the big game against Utah State, part of that Salt Lake City doubleheader that we were talking about earlier in the show. Really excited to see how they do against a really good team in Utah State, especially in their backyard. You've got, of course, Belmont had the
Yeah.
tough loss to Richmond, but they were able to bounce back with a huge road win on Sunday up the road at Middle Tennessee by 21. Nobody usually goes into Murfreesboro and wins by 20. So that's a big statement for the Bruins and a big bounce back.
I was stunned. I thought that was a massive statement.
It really was. And now they got their Valley opener on Saturday, hosting UIC.
And I'm throwing up a final score here. I should be refreshing here in half a second. But Southern Illinois, Griggs, rolled over Tennessee Martin, especially the second half tonight. And we thought it was a decent Tennessee Martin team out
Yeah,
of the OVC.
Yeah.
for about 22 minutes, that was a hell of a game. And then, Southern Illinois rolled them up.
But you
So
starting to keep
they're
an eye on
good.
the Southern Illinois team now, really.
yeah, you
Yeah,
need to
they're
keep an
good.
eye on Southern Illinois. You need to keep an eye on Murray State. They had the win against
Mhm.
George Washington, and they've looked good at times. One of their losses, I want to say, was at SMU, so it was a
Yeah.
road bye game. Rocco already talked about Illinois State. We were calling them out early in the season. Didn't they start off 1-2? Was it 1-2 or 0-2?
1 and 2.
Yeah, and they have just been on a roll since. And sometimes I will admit where I misjudged Illinois State. I had expectations coming into the year. The first 2 games I've watched, they did not meet them. That was all I'd seen. And when 100% of what you see has been bad, it kind of takes you a while to realize, well, maybe they just got out of the gate slowly. My God, they're on fire now.
Mm.
And when you look at Belmont and Illinois State, I still think Northern Iowa can be good. I like Murray State. You mentioned Southern Illinois. This is going to just, you better bring your battle gear to this conference.
Oh yeah.
And you better bring it on Saturday. This is going to be a great Saturday for the OVC. Illinois, Chicago at Belmont,
Yeah,
Illinois State at Utah State, Oakland at Northern Iowa,
that's a
Murray
good,
State, Akron, Southern Illinois at Richmond. We got some fascinating games out of this
yeah,
league
we
this
do.
weekend.
That is a
Uh,
great day. I'm watching Valley all weekend.
then next week, Belmont's got back in conference with a game at Evansville. Northern Iowa's at UAC. Valpo's at Northwestern.
Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
yeah.
They
That,
are. Okay, Griggs, Northeast Conference, the NEC.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Um,
You got anything from this past week? Because
it's,
Long Island won at Lehigh. That
yeah,
was nice,
this
nice
past
win.
week, no.
Lemoyne.
Lemoyne got a
Lemoyne.
road win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. Lemoyne getting a road win. Good for them. I still think the story, Chicago State's still looking for their first D1 win. Still a believer. They can make the Sweet 16.
St. Francis is still looking for their first and last D1 win as
Yeah,
they're on the way out of
Not sure if
D1.
they're going to get it. Maybe Chicago State.
yeah. I hate what's happening with them. Sorry for those kids in that
Yeah,
program.
that
It's
is a shame.
stupid leadership. Long Island and Central Connecticut, I think, are still going to be the stories especially once we get in the conference play. Download your NEC Front Row app. It's a free download, and the production quality is awesome. And you
Yeah.
really get to see just how much fun this league is.
A couple game maybe worth watching. Chicago State at Loyola Chicago. Loyola has not been very good so far this season.
Yeah, neither
Central Connecticut
Chicago
at
State.
Binghamton. That's a winnable game.
Yeah.
St. Francis at Florida. That game should be close
How
for about
about
the first 10
LaSalle
seconds.
at Long Island? Watch that one. The reason is because it's at Long Island, and you should watch every NEC home game. You can watch it on NEC Front Row. Download it now.
St. Francis at Florida. Like I said, that game should be a really close one for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man.
OVC time here at Rocco.
Yes.
Congrats to Lindenwood. They're in first place.
I like Lindenwood. I think they've got some opportunities to make a statement. It's their first year eligible, so a team we're tracking extra close as they'll have a real opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I thought the two wins last week were not only, I mean, I know the competition wasn't unbelievable, but I think just beating those teams both on the road, Eastern Illinois being a conference win to be the first team I think in the OVC to get on the board in the league. Were good confidence boosters. Neither games were particularly close. I think Jadis Jones is a guy came back late. He was in the portal for almost the entire portal cycle. Decides to come back. He was one of the top freshmen in the league last year. Now a sophomore. Scored 23 against EIU. They also, they have a couple good seniors with Futrell, who also flirted with the portal, came back. So these guys rallied together late in the spring to decide to make a run at it as Lindenwood got that exception from the NCAA and checked all the boxes, as did the other five that were eligible of transitioning early, just 3 years in D1 and now eligible. So it's an exciting story, and they've got some real playmakers. I think they'll make some noise.
Griggs, the other team that I'm starting to keep a little eye on here, just a little bit, is Tennessee Tech. West Georgia had been playing pretty good. They went there and won big. They were
Mhm.
right in their game this week with a decent Lipscomb team on the road.
Yeah, they
I think
were in it
this
with
I think
Lipscomb.
I think this team could surprise a few teams as we get to conference play.
Yeah, Tennessee Tech has been largely disappointing. When they hired John Pelfrey, I thought it was a home run hire for a program that hasn't been in the NCAA tournament in, I think, half a century, maybe even longer. Um, Pelfrey, of course, did great at St. Louis and Arkansas, and I think pretty much everywhere he's been. Hasn't been able to get it going at Tennessee Tech despite the resources and despite an administration that, at least by OVC standards, appears to be committed to basketball. Um, you're right, though. They are starting to play a little better, and maybe they'll get some traction once we get in the conference play, which I think gets underway next week.
Yeah, they got one non-conference, non-D1 game left, and that's it. Conference play after that for them.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that upcoming schedule. In fact, we'll probably see a bunch of conference games in here. Actually, we just see one on Tuesday. We just
Yeah,
got
that,
some
yeah,
rest of the
okay.
bye games coming this week here. Yeah.
Right. So it starts next week, but we will have done another show before they start. So, um, but Little Rock,
Other than Little Rock at Moorhead on Tuesday
yeah,
night. Yeah.
very, very disappointing Little Rock team. I know that they're dealing with injuries big time. This Little
big
Rock
time.
Moorhead game could be a big game, Chad, because it might have major eighth place implications.
Only the top 8 teams of this
Agreed.
conference
Yeah,
making it into the conference tournament. 8 out of 11 teams this year in the conference.
11. Yep.
11, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, Patriot League though, Griggs. Um, Holy Cross got the win at Fordham. Bucknell got a win at Ryder. Navy got the win at Delaware State, who beat Delaware, who beat George Washington.
Yeah. Navy, yeah, Navy started to string together some wins. They were the team I liked by far coming into the season the most.
Mm.
I guess I still like them, but what about Colgate? I mean, they're looking kind of good.
Legit. Yeah,
Yeah,
very legit.
Tough loss tonight to the Bonnies, but that was a close game most of
that
the
was
way.
a close game, and that was a game where they actually had a double-digit lead for a minute.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Holy Cross, I think, gets the flowers for the league,
yeah,
because you're not usually expecting much from the Crusaders, but they go to Fordham and beat an A10 team on the road and a decent win over Northeastern before that
yeah.
by
So yeah,
17. Like
right.
they killed Northeastern.
Yeah, so not much coming up this week out of the conference either. A lot
Hey,
of time
it's
off.
finals. Yep.
Yeah.
Army at UMBC Friday night, probably the best game on the schedule there. Maybe Dartmouth at Holy Cross. But Rocco, over in the SoCon, and can we
Yeah.
talk? Can we start talking some serious talk about this ETSU team? Because I'm a believer at this point.
I am too.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're clearly the best defensive team as we expected preseason. But that beatdown of South Alabama on Friday night is really
Yeah.
huge for their confidence. And obviously, SoCon as a league needed some help and finally starting to get it as ETSU's been pretty steady most of the year, besides that early loss to Presbyterian. Still a little bit of a head scratcher in that one. But outside of the Dayton loss, they've been perfect since then. And I think, you look at what Jordan McCollum and Cam Morris bring to the table when Morris is healthy. That's the other thing is ETSU's had guys like Morris and Blake Barkley in and out of the lineup. They're still able to stay consistent. So good sign for them moving forward. I also think, Furman, obviously important to the league, had a horrible start to the year, losing their first three D1 games. And outside of the loss to Illinois State and Disney World, they've been good
Yeah.
beating that Elon team who's dangerous and handling Harvard at home on Saturday. And then last but certainly not least, Mercer is sitting at 7-2 as well.
How about they're one of the big stories in this conference? Oh, go ahead. I was glad you talked about
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yeah, five in a row now. Obviously, four against D1 teams, and I think the guard he's already won multiple SoCon Player of the Week awards. Baraka Okoji, lights out in some of their performances. He played at Memphis and George Mason before. Didn't see the court as much as he wanted to. Really making a name for himself at Mercer. Now he sat out the non-division one game on Sunday. I imagine that was just precautionary, so I'm assuming he's okay. But as long as they have a Koji, he's been extremely efficient throughout the year, and he's put up some big numbers. The Elon game, he goes for 29 points and 10 assists. He also had a 12 assist game earlier this year against Lipscomb.
All right. Upcoming schedule here out of the conference. If we want to look at ETSU, big game in Austin P. We mentioned that one earlier.
Yeah.
Might be in over their heads on Tuesday at
Pro
UNC.
Probably so, but it'll be interesting to watch. East Tennessee State 8-2. One of the losses was to Dayton. They were right in there until about the under 12 timeout before Dayton got control. Mercer going to Clemson. Clemson is big mad right now.
Uh, Griggs, Southland Conference. Um,
This is just a great league.
we had a bit of a crazy start when McNeese dropped their opener to Incarnate Word, and
Yeah.
Incarnate Word team that then dropped their next 2 games after that. So maybe they weren't as good as we thought they were. But McNeese did bounce back to win their second game, and then picked up the huge win Tuesday night non-conference at Rhode Island.
Yeah, and if you pull up McNeese, they're kind of fascinating here. I really think that this McNeese team, at least on the court, I know that you can look at the metrics and look at some of the results and argue against what I'm about to say. I think they're one of the 40 best teams in the country. At least I think that's where their ceiling is. I don't know if the resume will be there at the end, but they've beaten George Washington. They beat Murray State. They won on the road at Rhodey. They won at Middle. These are like,
I,
top.
I disagree with you. I think the resume could absolutely be there. All they've got to do is win on December 29th
Which, if they win that one,
at Michigan.
it will be there. And they won at Michigan a couple years ago. Michigan a little bit better now.
A little bit better. Very,
Yeah.
But if they only lose by 20 to Michigan, it'll be an accomplishment. I think
It
the way
really
Michigan's
will
playing
be
these
the way
days.
Michigan's blowing teams out of the water. But the loss to Santa Clara, not that's a really good Santa Clara team, but that's the thing. The margin for error is so small, and sometimes it's just infinitesimal. Can they offset the incarnate word? Because I mean, they have multiple, not just one, but multiple. While they're not beating protected seeds, they've beaten multiple not 1 and 2 tier teams away from home. A lot of them. This is a really, really good team. I know you don't need me to tell you all that. You two don't. But McNeese is damn good.
They're damn good, but they got a lot tougher conference this year than they've had in recent years. I still think we're going to keep hearing from Rocco
Good
from New
race.
Orleans, from SFA, maybe
Yeah.
from Houston
SFA's
Christian.
good. I like them. Yeah.
I think this Lamar team is not a team to sleep on. They're at San Diego State as we record this tonight.
Stephen F. Austin looks much improved as well. They might have the best.
SFA, yeah, is well. Let me ask you this, Rocco. While no one in this conference is inside the bubble, it clearly is better. It's so much better than what it's been, even as recently as 2 years ago. Does that help their metrics? Does that get the attention of the committee? If FSA does run through it and only loses 1 or 2 more the rest of the way? Not SFA, excuse me, McNeese.
McNeese, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think there's a lot of respect for McNeese just based on they haven't really shown much of a drop off since losing Will Wade. Bill Armstrong used to be Wade's right hand man at LSU, so they're running the same type of program. Just tons of athletes 1 through 9, and a couple of really terrific players. With Tyshawn Archie's playing really well lately. Larry Johnson, the freshman, still not starting, and he's getting a lot of NBA attention already as a freshman. The highest recruit in the history of McNeese. So I mean, and I didn't even mention Garcia, who's probably the most important player. So they've got weapons all over the floor. I just think they're going to probably slip up a couple more times. We saw that they're going to get everybody's best shot on the road. I think the other thing that's important to call out about this league is half the schools are on the Texas side and the other half are on the Louisiana side. And when they crisscross locations, they tend to not play as well. Like that's exactly what happened to Incarnate Word. They get the first one at home, then they had to go into Louisiana and they lose to both New Orleans and Nichols.
Yeah. That was Nichols' first D1 win of the season too. So
yeah.
Just
that was kind of surprising that they went there and dropped
first home game of the year as well. So
true.
Nichols not a very rich program. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
McNeese this week hosting East Texas A&M at Houston Christian. This rest of the upcoming games. I don't know that New Orleans is going to win at Houston, but it would be a story if they did.
Yeah.
A big story.
Rocco, over in the SWAC, I thought for a while here we might have a story developing as we record this. Southern had been right in there with Texas State, but looks like Texas State is pulling away late, so not a shot for a D1 win there. And D1 wins are always important in this league.
Yeah, they are. They are. Bethune-Cookman had a really good week last week, I thought. At least the South Carolina State game, they pounded them pretty good. That game was not competitive. That's their old conference rival when they were a MEAC member, of course. But outside of that, I think, there's still a good 7 or so teams in this league that should be competing night in and night out for the league title. And you were the one that shared with us, Chad, the new Southland bracket, which will have 6 teams advancing to the whatever round they're calling it.
The quarterfinal round. Six double buys to the quarterfinals.
6 double buys, then the 7 and 8 have to play the in-between game. And then the other, 9 through 12 have to play the early round?
They went from 10 teams to a 12-team bracket, but they added an extra round by adding 11 and 12 in here.
Okay.
So it's up there on the website, by the way, under the conference tournament tab if you want to take a look at it, anybody.
Take a look at it.
Not as drunk as the Horizon League quintuple final.
We're going to have fun with that championship week, what the Horizon League did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh,
It's good times. Good times in the
yes.
Horizon League. But otherwise, yeah, I think eventually Jackson State ends up getting tougher. They've just had a ridiculous schedule. There's a lot of those in this league. Alabama State's got the win at UAB. We saw a nice glimpse of them. Prairie View's been pretty competitive. I also think, Southern right now is playing without Michael Jacobs, easily their best player, and they still almost won without him. So obviously they're one of the top contenders in the league.
They're at California Baptist, by the way, this week. A few other games there that might be winnable or interesting at least, such as Bethune-Cookman at St. Louis could be a little interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but let me go quickly back here to the schedule because I do got to mention here Florida A&M did get Charlie Ward's first win of the season over Florida Memorial, not a D1 win. They were in a four-team HBCU event, though. Their opponent on
Oh
Friday
God,
was supposed
yes.
to be Barbara Scotia College. The game was canceled at the last minute because uh, Barbara Scotia is not accredited and has not been able to get accreditation issues resolved. I think that they thought they would by this point. They've been fighting it for a while, and I hope they do get it resolved.
Yeah.
Uh, but had they played the game, Griggs, and you're the one that pointed this out to me, they would have had become postseason ineligible, had to pay a
Yes.
huge fine, and
Yes.
have to and lost a couple game, one or two games off their schedule for next
It
year.
would have been a 2-for-1. So, like one impermissible game, it's a $50,000 fine, an automatic ineligibility for the postseason the year you played the game, and then it's a 2-game reduction the following year.
And Barbara Scotia was upset that Florida A&M did not play them. Uh,
It's a severe. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. Well, I mean, I think that you're punishing a team a little more than they deserve if they make a good faith mistake. It's one thing, oh, well, I don't care if it's an impermissible game, we're going to play it anyway. I don't think FAMU knew it was an impermissible game. Maybe they should have. They figured it out and they didn't play it.
yeah, the games, by the
Yeah,
way, being played in Disney World and co-sponsored by ESPN, and that's a shame on somebody like ESPN to screw that up that bad.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
all I
it's
got to say.
awful.
Yeah, that was
That's
terrible.
that
Um,
that's my biggest problem was with the event organizers not realizing this and fixing it beforehand.
right.
The
I
opponents
am,
were announced back in August. Come
yeah.
on. Uh,
Seriously.
uh, Griggs, Summit League time here. They were on the losing end of that Summit League Big Sky Challenge, but I mean, I guess we could throw a couple notes out there, including South Dakota State got a win on just last night at Ball State. It's a true road win for the conference. North Dakota
Yeah.
State won the game at Montana last week, and they're in one of their challenge games.
Yeah. Nice one for North Dakota State there. They've kind of shown out against a weak schedule, I guess. This is always a fun league. This year there's not too much exciting about it.
Yeah.
Some of the teams that traditionally like do very well have not done well at all. I still think not to repeat ourselves every week. The story is St. Thomas, although they've kind of gone into a tailspin themselves.
Well, they bounced back with the win over Weaver State over the weekend, so at least they did
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But
So
upcoming this week, oh, look at this! They're hosting St. John's tomorrow night.
St. John's, Rick Pitino
St.
bringing
John's of
his team
Minnesota at
to
St. Thomas.
Minnesota. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Okay, that's Oh, okay. The reason is it's a buy game. I was wondering what the MN meant. That obviously means money. St. John's getting a
money.
paycheck to go to to go to St. Thomas.
Not sure what else you look at that coming up this week. Another a quasi front range game, Colorado Springs at Denver. Uh,
Yeah,
Actually, South Dakota State, Wyoming might be an interesting game Monday night, and that's a neutral court game. I'm not that certain where that one's being played.
yeah.
Uh,
Either the Pentagon or Rapid City.
yeah, we'll see if we can't get any info on that one here. But Rocco, while we look that up, how about talk a little Sunbelt hoops?
Yeah, how about the Sun Belt?
Ooh, good league.
Yeah, I mean it's all over the map. It's a
It
little
is
it's a little helter
beautiful.
skelter. It is beautiful. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree. Georgia, I'll start with Georgia Southern, a team trying to find themselves. Last week got a 3-game winning streak. Now, obviously Gardner Webb, we already kind of clowned on a little bit. They went there and got a road win, but they held home court on Louisiana Tech, a nice 8-point win, and they're back above 500 at 6-5. They've had somewhat of a tough schedule. I like the system that they run. It's super fun, top 25 tempo team, but they've got to continue to keep the reins in as they move forward in their schedule. I think Arkansas State, my preseason pick to win the Sun Belt tournament. They've now ripped off four in a row, taking advantage of that bad injury situation at Little Rock. But before that, UT Arlington's been pretty solid. They beat them by 20. The good couple of wins. They won the tournament that they hosted with Jacksonville State and North Dakota State. So starting to string together the wins. Their only losses are road losses to St. Mary's, SMU, and SFA. Really no shame in any of those three. So and you want to talk about playing fast. They're playing even faster than Georgia Southern. So when those two play each other, look out.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild one.
Yes,
And Greg's the only team guy had the shout out now here, Marshall. We mentioned this earlier. That win to
big
Western
win.
Kentucky,
Real good
that puts
win.
them on my map here in this league as well.
Yeah, and you got
After coming off a couple back-to-back losses too,
yeah,
close losses.
Mhm.
and you've just got a lot of team in last year, and it seems like in a lot of years, this conference is log jammed, like from eighth place all the way up to third or second. And I think even though we haven't played a conference game yet, it almost has that feel that it's going to be that way again. We've seen what Troy can do. We've seen what Troy cannot do. It's remarkable that there
They
isn't a
they
team
do
out
they
there
get they're
that
great at playing overtime.
yeah, they're great at playing overtimes. I mean, this is just one of those where you're already just sort of like, all right, let's get conference play going. And once you get into conference play, there is a feeling of stakes to every game because of that ridiculous Stairway to Seven ladder format that they play.
Here is the upcoming schedule. There's some interesting games on here, definitely coming up this week, though. Um, but let's
Yeah,
just jump right over here, Griggs, to the Western Athletic Conference over in the WAC, and Cal Baptist.
yeah,
Uh,
kind of a
0-2,
rough.
0-2 on the week. I mean, at BYU, at Utah, so you can't really
Yeah,
fault them too much, though.
yeah, no, you couldn't. I really thought they had a chance to win that game at Utah. They absolutely did not. They've lost three games in a row. The other one that they lost at this stretch was Colorado, in a game again where they were pretty competitive. I still really like Cal Baptist. I still like them more than anyone else. Although I know to Rocco will correctly point out Utah Valley really good as well.
Yeah.
But three road bye games, they lost all three of them. Two of them, at least in two of them, they were reasonably competitive, though.
Yeah, Rocco, Utah Valley, and I think Abilene Christian. That went over to Mexico State this week, kind of, even though it was a home game,
That
that
was a
did wake me up a
surprise.
little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, just a tough physical win. Got a rare chance to play a D1 home game. Not a lot of D1 teams get out to Abilene, Texas. So they took advantage of that. And I think their style, just playing that West Texas in your face defense, and they just try to attack, attack, attack. That really backfired in the game that I called against William and Mary back in November in Jacksonville when they got hammered. But against the style of play that they like to play in Texas, so when they go up against the Tarletons and the Arlingtons, Abilene's got some real playmakers, and I think none bigger than Braden Hubbard, who's an absolute all-conference player, and he was last year as well. So Abilene's got a nice little threat there. UT Arlington themselves, as we're still in that great state of Texas, did lose at Arkansas State last time out. They've had 9 days off. They'll take the court again tomorrow at UTRGV. But I thought Arlington at the end of November they did beat SFA at home, a really good win. They've beaten Missouri State. They've won at Evansville and at Weber. So UT Arlington, a quality team to. I think the first five teams in the league are all pretty quality. Throw Tarleton in that mix.
Yeah, some interesting games coming up too. California Baptist at Eastern Washington, Utah Valley, UC Santa Barbara. We mentioned that one
That's a
earlier.
good one. Yeah.
And if Abilene Christian wins their next game, they will be our lead story next week
Yeah. Yeah.
at Arizona.
Yes, they
Um,
will.
uh,
And they go to BYU after that.
let's
Oh man.
a quick note here that going back, that Wyoming South Dakota State game is in Sioux Falls at the Pentagon there.
Pentagon.
There we
Love the
go.
Pentagon.
But let's take a quick look at that some mythical conferences now that we've finished all our regular ones. The Front Range Conference, we had a big Colorado State win over Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado now tied for last place with Air Force. Not
Oof. Man, that was a rough loss. Uh,
no
Front
games
Range
coming.
getting hot. No, Northern Colorado, we talked about them. They might come close to the big to cracking the top 10 here in a second. Who knows?
How about Denver's week ahead? They've got a little old school Great Alaska shootout here with hosting Alaska Anchorage, and then Colorado Springs, a big non D1 week for Denver coming up ahead.
Yeah.
No,
All
no.
right. Yeah, good on Denver playing some massive non-D1 teams.
The Beehive Conference,
Oh, the
we didn't
Beehive.
actually get any games in this past week. Let's see if we have any coming up this week. We do have Weber State at
Oh,
Utah
Weber going to
Valley
Utah
Wednesday.
Valley. Oh, it's going to be
Uh, yeah,
bring
Weber
back the
0-2
Beehive.
on the season. They could be just out of it completely if they can't win this game.
Bring back the bucket. Bring back the Beehive.
Where is
Uh,
Justice College at? Is it in the
yeah.
Beehive? I don't
That
know.
might be a pseudo Beehive team here.
Yeah.
Arizona State beat Northern Arizona to move to a three-way tie in first place in the back range
The
this week.
back range. Yes. Yeah. I keep forgetting
This
about
is
the
down in
back range.
Arizona and New
Yeah.
Mexico, and UTEP is in there.
How
But
we, yeah, I'm not sure how we came up with
I
that.
don't know what is it. We got the top range here. Uh,
All
so
of
the
this person.
Montana schools,
Yeah.
and um, I will give a quick shout out here to the University of Montana. By the way, they have sat through a 3 hour delay to a power failure tonight, but they will have stuck around, and they are just about to tip their game against Salish Kutani University.
Oh
So,
my
so
goodness.
congrats for sticking around for 3 hours, and I got to give a shout out to any Montana
Um,
fans that stuck around for 3 hours to see them play this game tonight.
to not to the players and coaches, but to the administrators, to the timekeeper, to whoever the event manager is, to have that happen at any night is just utterly frustrating. To have it happen when you're playing who?
Salish Kootenai.
Yes, our sympathies.
We do have Eastern Washington Wazoo coming up next week, and and we got this most mythical of all of our conferences,
The most, yes.
the Conference of Champions.
I just
Uh,
don't think that something like this could
how
ever
about
come
them Golden
together.
Bears out in first place, though?
Yeah. Wow. Man,
A couple
Cal's
games,
having a great year.
Washington State, USC, Arizona State, UCLA coming up this week. But let's go. Oh, top 10 list. Let's go to our top 10
Yeah.
list. Hoops HD top 10 for the week of December 10th. We had a lot of teams that got votes because Griggs likes to vote for like 30 teams every week for some
Well,
reason.
yeah. Well, I send you everybody that I looked at, so you'll know that I looked at them, and maybe
Teams
mention it
that
during the show.
Teams that
Oof.
did not quite make the top 10: Tennessee Martin, UNC Wilmington, Kent State, Murray State, East Tennessee State, William and Barry, UC Santa Barbara, High Point, and Howard's got to get an honorable mention
How
here.
is
Come on.
Howard? Yeah,
They
Howard
won
needs that.
twice at Cameron.
Have won at Cameron twice. That's yes.
At number 10, we have Buffalo, just barely hanging in there.
Yeah,
At 9, Western Kentucky.
yeah. Losing tonight.
These votes were
Perhaps
before the
before we
game. Yeah.
voted. Yeah. So
Northern Iowa coming in number 8.
you like that Northern Iowa team.
Number 7, Northern Colorado.
NoCo, good for them. Yeah, they got a big week coming up.
Akron coming in at number 6,
Hmm.
despite, I think 3 losses, which is most of anybody in our top 10 list.
Yeah.
Miami, Ohio, undefeated, but only number
Un
5. That shows you the strength of
yeah,
schedule.
that's they very or lack thereof.
Belmont coming in at number 4.
That is a good Belmont team.
McNeese at number 3.
That is a
Uh,
good McNeese team.
there were two of us both voted for the same team for number 1, but because the third of us, Mr. Griggs, voted that same team fourth, that team ended up being number 2 overall. Yale coming in at number 2, despite Rocco and I both voting them number 1. Uh,
Interesting.
but Griggs,
Yeah,
you don't like
no,
Yale at all, apparently.
no, I like them a lot. Just not
Yeah,
as not much as McNeese and UCSD
the
and
team you voted number 1, Rocco and I both voted number 2. Here it is, number 1 team, still UC San Diego, holding on there for number 1.
Not
yeah,
a bad
Uh,
choice.
Very good team, though.
yeah.
Let me go through final thoughts here, Rocco.
Yeah, another good show. I think yeah, it was fun to get a little dose of Big West Conference play, a skosh of OVC, and a couple others last week. I think one of the other big stories that I didn't get a chance to really call out was Detroit Mercy. I was shocked to see them open up Horizon League play with not just 2 wins, but two double-digit wins. They went from like a 1-win team to a 2-0 team because you start to change your perspective on a lot of these under the radar teams once they start establishing themselves in conference. So
Yeah.
Detroit Mercy went from a team that we thought were stuck at the bottom of the horizon, and maybe at the end of the year they will be back in the bottom.
Let's remember they beat IU, Indy, and Cleveland State. They beat the bottom of the conference, so
But Cleveland State's only at the bottom of the conference because of Detroit Mercy.
Ah.
So, and they went to the Wolstein Center. I get it. Rob Summers is in his first year there. Cleveland State's in a little bit of a transition period. But for where Detroit Mercy's been, I feel like Aiden Carter's a really good player. TJ Nadeau had a big game with 26 in one of those two games. So they've got some pieces. Orlando Lovejoy is really well known across the horizon as a all conference level guy. So who knows? Maybe Detroit Mercy can get a little spark here going forward.
Absolutely. Greg, do you want to finish the show out?
Yeah, we're nearing the end of out of conference play. Some conferences are already getting underway, and one of the things that's fun about this show and that we really enjoy, I think, throughout the season is who can make a run at the bubble. Last year, maybe Drake was in that conversation. This year, if it's going to be anybody, I think it's sort of the teams that we alluded to, Yale, McNeese, and UC San Diego. Is there a path for it to happen? I think there is. Rocco could speak better to it than I can. Is the path too steep for it to happen? It probably
Probably,
is.
probably because I
Because
think the Big
the
West
Big
is,
West is just so good. It is
yeah.
hard when you're
They'd have
talking
to
about
run
going,
it. They'd have to
yeah,
run it what they did last year, and then still, you know, keep
yeah.
it, say a few prayers.
Right. And I mean, it was criminal for UC Irvine to not be selected last year when they won. They went on the road to all those places and won all those road games. I know that they didn't, but it seems to me the reason I don't think the tournament needs to be expanded, and I really don't. I think what needs fixing or changing, if that's more changing than fixing, because it is the regular season, if you're an under the radar school, you essentially have 6 weeks to get the kinds of games that will make the committee sit up and take it, that will get their attention. Like, oh man, nice win. Whenever an under the radar team is inside the bubble, they've won it Clemson, they've won it Memphis, they've gone somewhere and beaten a tournament caliber team on the road. So you have to schedule hard, you have to play games under in unfavorable circumstances because they're not coming to you and you got to win the games. And maybe three teams sort of did that, but I don't think any of them did. And while I still love this show, and while we will do this show as long as Hoops HD is up and running, it might be more often than not we don't see any of these teams making runs at the bubble,
Well,
which
we might see one this year when we relegate the American down to this
yeah,
show,
yeah,
Tulsa,
then maybe Tulsa can make a run at the bubble. Yeah, but
yeah,
that might be it this season.
yeah.
But on that note, I do want to thank everyone for joining us. We'll be back Monday night with another Hoops HD report next Wednesday with another Under the Radar. But on behalf of David Griggs, Rocco Miller, check him out at Bracketeer.org. I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again real soon.